What is good, everybody, on this wonderful Saturday evening? Hope everyone's doing well. Listen, make sure you take a second right now, and click that like button. Click it, subscribe if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed, why not? You bugging. Click the subscribe button. Glad to be with y'all on this day. Listen, we got a big show today. This stuff writes itself, I should say, with the news and just people yapping. We got Connor Stallions can't keep his mouth shut. He just could not resist. Had to run his mouth on X, and so we're going to react to it. And Sonny Dykes really doubling down on his comments about fooling Michigan back when they played them in the bowl game. So yeah, make sure you guys understand the super chats are going to our Pay It Forward program for our military, first responders, all of that. I want to make sure I do a better job at reminding you of that. It's a powerful, powerful thing. So look forward to seeing y'all super chats and responding to them as well. All right, let's bring my good brother Nevada Buck in. Nevada, what's up, man? How you feeling today?
Well, good. I was thinking we're going to talk about something else, and then Connor Stallions sticks his head out from whatever hole he's living in, and pops up and has to make a bunch of comments. And Sonny Dykes response, and he responds, and I'm like, man, it's we got to do another Michigan. We got it. Like, come on. If Connor Stallions is coming out on X and talking about how he can't be stopped, and nothing, people can try to stop him, but they can't contain him, and yeah, it was screaming for another Michigan show, so here we are.
Indeed. Indeed. And it's like this stuff writes itself, like we've been saying. I mean, with these shows, it's just like, okay, here we go. It's like, what do you expect us to do? Not respond to Connor running his mouth? I mean, we got bars for this dude on the ready. But yeah, I think it's quite ridiculous. And it's funny for those who are on X, who saw the post on X, reading through all his stuff, and I'm just like reading comments and retweets from Michigan fans. Oh, build him a statue, bars. Oh, he ate. No, he did not. This is nothing but drivel. This is nothing but ridiculousness. This is nothing but manifesto, goofy, warped brain Michigan fan talk. That's all it is. Because there's a bunch of obvious things we're going to counter with that are just obvious off the top of the head. But I just find it hilarious that the Michigan fanboys are retweeting him and, yeah, you go, Connor. And it's just like, are y'all crazy right now? By the way, none of this is going to save you from the hammer. None of it's going to save you from the hammer, right? So at the end of the day, it's just for us to laugh at and respond to. But I know you're not on social media like that, Nevada, but you should see these dudes on social media just, oh my God, just doing the cabbage patch to this post by freaking Connor Stallions, man. It's ridiculous.
Well, do you have the post there that for people that don't have X, can you read it to them by some chance? Because
Yeah.
it was pretty amazing. Now you got to understand the context on this. The context on this is that at the Big 12 media days, Sonny Dykes, um, comes out, and the coach at TCU, and they famously thrashed Michigan in that bowl game. Ran it. I mean, just killed that defense. I think it ran for 285 yards when they're giving up 85 yards a game, and just moved the ball up and down the field, 51 points. And the topic came up about Michigan, and he said, yeah, we'd heard from very reliable sources that they were doing stuff that was untoward, and that we needed to change our signals. So what they decided to do was to not just wholesale change their signals, but they changed some, and they kept others as dummy signals, and they wanted to see how Michigan responded, and they figured out real early on that Michigan had indeed, done illegal advanced electronic surveillance on them, and stolen their signals, and was responding to the old stuff. So they put the dummy stuff in there, and just it was wonderful. All of a sudden, Connor Stallions didn't have the magic sphere anymore, and that defense was just completely broken by TCU. So but then Connor Stallions decides to come back, and he decides to come back and respond with just kind of a crazy. I mean, this was when I read the response. It struck me almost like his response when he was talking about on that mockumentary about the sign stealer, about how he was talking about how he stole the signs from watching TV. Like, you've watched what 10,000 football games in your lifetime, like 10
Yes,
maybe, give or take.
that's
How many
conservative.
it's conservative. How many times have you seen the signals, like a full segment of signals in those 10,000 times that you've watched football games? I mean, I'm going to set the over under at 0, and I'm going to bet the under on that. But yeah, have you ever seen a full sequence of signaling from the sideline on a television broadcast?
No. Whenever we see signalers, it's very quick. It's like the camera panning. It's very quick. And so that notion was always dumb, even with the All 22 film. For those who watch All 22, the All 22 film is not made to show the sideline. It's made to show certain angles from behind the line of scrimmage, from overhead on the side. I mean, like, it's not for signals. So these people who are saying, "Oh, he just got it off of All 22," and no, he did not. He didn't. And so that's just a lie, and it's ridiculous. But even besides that lie, if that's the case, why did you have all that manpower, budget, system, and everything set up to go record signals if all you had to do was just turn on your
No, no,
local
no. Hold on. He wasn't. He was just giving his mom tickets to the
That's
Purdue
right. My
Illinois
bad.
game. You know,
My bad.
it's kind of like, hey, I know BMO's looking for that special Mother's Day gift. It's like, hey, mom, can you go to the Rutgers Iowa game and film the sideline for me for 3 hours? It's like, oh, okay, B, I'll do it. I'll run. It's like, okay, mom, best mom of the year. I mean, can you imagine giving your parents tickets to some random game and just like, I mean, and he tried to, that was his explanation. That we're not making it up. If you haven't seen the guys, that was his explanation.
It's ridiculous.
It's
Ridiculous.
well,
So
just do you have the tweet, because it's beautiful, man. It's crazy. It's crazy and
now
beautiful.
I have it. Now it's quite long. You want me to read the whole thing?
Just read a part. We'll take it in parts. We'll read it, and then we'll just kind of diagnose the crazy as he's talking
Okay,
there. Then
cool. So yeah, maybe we could even stop. Like, we can
can
stop on
can
the
you
way through.
can you use your Connor Stalions voice too when you do this too?
I'm gonna just pull out my most buffoonish sounding voice I can conjure up, I guess. Let me see if I
Yes,
can.
yes.
All right, and I'll share my screen as well. I mean,
Oh,
just for the visual.
very
But
nice.
okay, so let's read through it. So first of all, he's responding to a Brett McMurphy article. It says, tipped off about Michigan's sign stealing system in 2022, Sonny Dykes told on 3 Sports. TCU changes play calls before their college football playoff semifinal. Everybody does it to an extent, but we had some intel. It was kind of next level there. Keyword is they had some intel that it was next level there. So Connor Stalions fires back with a long, stupid, post. Anyway, to save everybody's time, so we can move on from the same recycled story from Coach Dykes, I'll provide some more details and we can wrap this up. We lost because we turned the ball over and had a poor game tackling. And TCU played well. Congratulations. The same way we won the Natty when I was not with the program, because we blocked well, tackled well, and took care of the rock. Welcome to the game of football. Very condescending of you, Connor. I'll read this paragraph and we can stop and talk. Since people are so intrigued by signals, the entire air raid communication system is the offensive coordinator signaling to the QB, then the QB signaling to the receivers, USC, TCU, etc. It's all the same. They're all the same signals too. And TCU kept everything from the coordinator to QB the same, but had dummy signals and some new signals from the QB to receivers. But that didn't matter because I'm watching the coach and seeing what they changed in real time. Similar to Ohio State, changing their signals. They changed their route concepts and some run concepts, not their formations and pass protection signals, which is all I cared about. Now we can stop there. You got anything to say to that?
Well, it's so funny because it's a classic cope, man. It's like
Yes.
for Connor Stallions. I mean, the idea that he could have been outsmarted. He is the smartest guy in the room at all times. It don't matter who he's in. He could be in there with Steve Jobs. He could be in there with Elon Musk. Doesn't matter. Connor Stalions is the smartest guy in the room, and he genuinely believes that. That's kind of a trite expression. Oh, this guy thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. Connor Stalions truly believes that. He truly believes that he cannot be outsmarted, that nobody can be one step ahead of him, and also that he could never be responsible for something bad happening to Michigan. So a loss that maybe had to do with him, shouting out to the defensive coordinator that they were, going one way when they went the other. No, that would fall on him. So for him to kind of protect this pristine image of Connor, he's got to be the smartest guy. This loss, this 51 points by TCU against the best defense in college football had nothing to do with him, had nothing to do with signaling, just a big coincidence. But yes, but now you can go, we can go on to the next paragraph.
Yes, I think you nailed that. No need for me to hop in. To say anyone fooled me is admitting that you have no idea how signal deciphering and protecting works. No team has ever changed signals, meaning they don't recycle the same signal to have a different meaning, because that would confuse the 18-year-olds on the field more than it would confuse me, because I'm the smartest guy in the room. They simply create new signals. And if I see a new signal, I'm not guessing what it means. There were games where I relayed information 0% of the time, all the way through 99% of the time. No one is forcing you to signal. Rutgers and Minnesota huddled, didn't signal. Nebraska didn't signal until the second quarter when they were down 14-0. Even we, Michigan, didn't signal on offense. I'll read another paragraph. If you don't want teams to steal your signals, then don't signal. Thanks for the accountability, Connor, for actually cheating. And never mind. Any team that signals on offense is trying to force the defense to signal so they can steal it. There's really no other advantage unless you're trying to prevent a sub or it's 2 minute. If that weren't true, you'd see the entire NFL go up tempo to find advantages, but you don't. And it's still going on today in college with Coach Combs. Notice how teams still signals. It's because they're going up tempo. I'll stop there. Nevada, please respond to that garbage.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so funny because look, there's a lot of reasons why you signal, and the one thing he did say that was true is kind of he flipped some truth in there with kind of the bobble is you know you can't just change your signaling wholesale. And
Correct.
that's always been, this is why his plot was so insidious. His plot was so insidious because people would be like, well, just change all the signals. And it's like, well, it's not that easy to do because now you've gone through a signaling package, maybe you've gone through a second signaling package. Now you're asking all these guys, and some of these guys aren't as bright as Connor Stallions that are on the football field. They're not all super geniuses. They're not all 220 IQ guys. Some of the guys are, you know, just making it by and do well to remember their plays, let alone the signals. Because if one guy doesn't get this, doesn't remember it right, gets it wrong, it can be disastrous for everybody involved. So that's the conundrum when you've got somebody who's using illegal advanced surveillance, that's using an illegal scouting system to record and memorialize signals, because the teams can't change it in real time. They can't change it at halftime. They can't, that you can change, you try to change it the week of, but that's dangerous trying to do it. So him saying that is really kind of a self-own on this thing in terms of, this is why the rules in place. This is why it matters. This is why teams are saying it's not just so easy just to say, oh well, you're worried about signaling, just change your signals, because it's hard to change them. And there's lots of downside in terms of doing it. And that's why his plot worked, because teams couldn't do it quickly enough, and they suffered because he was cheating.
Exactly. And real quick, I'll add on to that before reading this last paragraph, is that it really is cringy and just really, really bothers me when Michigan fans, their constant response to us is, well, why didn't Ryan Day change his signals? Or Ryan Day said he changed his signals. Listen, y'all, remember when this story was unfolding, the Big Ten coaches and even the Big Ten, and I would even argue the NCAA, even though they had ample evidence, they didn't quite understand when it first came out the depths of what they were doing. So if the conference says, hey, they were illegally stealing signs, make sure you do what you can do to protect yourself. Ryan Day doesn't know the depths of what he did. He doesn't know exactly the operation at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, because how do you know that? How do you know that he had a whole, you know, operation of recording and on both sides of the field and uploading it into the system and doing all this stuff, like this next level cheating? So, but like Nevada said, ultimately, talk to a coach. I've talked to Ohio State coaches. They confirm, like, you can't just change your signals overnight. There's things you could try to do, but James Laurinaitis in an interview months ago mentioned something about that, where it's just like it's impossible. Like, that's an off season thing. Changing your signals is for the off season, not for during the season, and expect to be fully effective. It's crazy. So I'll wrap this up to say it's ridiculous for Stallions and Michigan fans to say, well, why didn't you change your signals? How about you not cheat? How about you not illegally steal signs? And because here's the other thing that's cloaked in this, Nevada. He's still talking. He's talking in a way as if what he did was okay or legal. He's trying to lump in what he clearly did, which was against the rules, advanced scouting, recording signals. He's trying to lump that in and muddy the waters to make it seem like it's just no different than just other teams stealing signs on the field real time. And we know that's a lie. So anyway, he's just disingenuous, a sociopath, and he's just a weirdo. So
Well,
anyway,
hold on. I want to say something on that because I think you made a really good point. I mean, when this whole thing first broke, because when I think sign stealing, okay, when I heard sign stealing, just in general, I'm thinking like the Clemson defensive coordinators,
yeah,
stealing
Venables,
signs.
yeah,
Venables really, Brett Venables doing a real good job of doing that or whatever it is. Like my mind could not even comprehend this. Like like I just remember just being so stunned by the scope of it and the brazenness of this thing. But I got to be honest with you, I was not thinking this at all. So I completely think that is spot on. I mean, when somebody says, "Hey, watch out, Michigan does a good job staying your signs," you're not thinking that he had mom and dad there filming, 9 of your games and have 3 hours of tape of your sidelines and then splicing it up against the game tape and you're creating a master Bible and knowing. I mean, nobody could have really. I mean, now we know it, but at the time it was just what no, that was just unthinkable. So I agree with you. I think had the coaches had any idea of the scope of this thing, this would have been, because before it was just kind of a dirty little secret that was running through the coaching community. You had
yeah,
the famous Greg Schiano sideline interview during the halftime of that
yes,
game where he was nearly ready to like pop out of his skin and choke somebody out there. But I don't think he knew. If Schiano knew, this stuff would have blown up, way earlier. Would have been a much bigger deal, and the precautions would have been, obviously much more strident. That's why it was so important for the NCAA to let the Big Ten know midseason. That's why it was so important for the Big Ten to let the other teams know midseason and take the action they did, just because this was so unprecedented in scope and in depth, and something that had gone on for years. That I think that's the reason why I was able to go on, because it was so audacious, it was so illegal, and it was so big. Nobody could even dream this big. But
yes.
I think that you're spot on that point.
And that's a great follow up. And people need to realize that, because even Ohio State fans, some of them get kind of caught up in that. Well, yeah, maybe no. Like this Nevada, same thing. When the news dropped, my mind did not go to this at all. Whose did? Whose mind would go to this? I mean, it's just like just be logical, be reasonable. And so, yeah, this was next level cheating, and this is why in the letter, Tony Petiti, just real quick before we get to this last paragraph, Nevada, what Michigan, what Connor Stallions, the media, their fans are doing is the same thing they did as an administration when they first responded to the evidence from Tony Petiti. In the letter, he's rebuking them, saying, basically, you're downplaying this, and we're not. We take this seriously. The conference takes exception to the downplaying of XYZ. Like they kept saying that in the letter. They're still doing the same thing they've done from jump, which is to just deflect, deny, and downplay. And it's not going to save
Well,
you.
Well, I think it's worse than that. I think it's worse than that because they're cheering him on, like you said,
Yes.
in the opening. I mean, this guy's a hero to the Michigan fans, and I think that's the thing that's of all the things that's the most disgusting about this thing. That's probably the most disgusting thing is that to the Michigan fans, this guy, you know, there's nothing, I mean, he's not an outcast. He's not a pariah. He's not the guy that brought the program down. He's not the guy that was cheap. Now, he's a hero to them, and that shows where the Michigan fans are at in terms of like moral. I mean, morally, they just checked it at the door. They're like, it doesn't matter. Winning's the only thing that mattered. The rules, this rules, that's for somebody else to worry about. And this guy's their hero, and I I want more than anything the NCAA to hammer him, if not for anything else, but just for that.
Yes.
To let these people know that this is not okay. It wasn't all right to do it. Connor Stalions wasn't some, super genius that led you guys to the promised land. He's like this demented little toad that lives in his mom's basement and then sends out these weird tweets. And yeah, I'm counting the days down till the hammer falls, and yeah, and then Connor can go back into infamy where he belongs.
Yes, indeed, good sir. Yes, indeed. All right, last paragraph. The continuous attempt to correlate signals to any wins and losses at Michigan is funny. There were 7 games in my time at Michigan where I knew almost every signal the whole game. 2021 MSU, 2022 MSU, 2022 PSU, 2022 OSU, 2022 TCU, 2021 Georgia, and 2021 Wisconsin. We lost 3 of those games because we didn't tackle well, and Georgia was historically good. We won the 4 other games because we dominated the line of scrimmage and tackled well. Blocking, ball security, tackling, run fits, and coverage tools. That's football. This is not rocket sciences. I'm sorry, rocket science. And Nevada, the Michigan fans are eating this up. Please, I can't wait to respond to this, but go ahead, brother.
Well, I mean, yeah, this kind of dovetails back to your original point. Well, if it didn't matter, why did you go to this elaborate thing? Why were you sending interns in the car, driving 1,500 miles to go do this if this thing didn't matter? Why was this your very existence, Connor, if this thing didn't matter? Of course it mattered. For him to try to play it down with this kind of, this humble brag about, oh, me knowing I knew every signal and stuff. I mean, like, I mean, yeah, I wonder how you got the Michigan State signal so far down. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
wait a second. Maybe the Central Michigan games, maybe the Western Michigan game, maybe you being on the sidelines for those things on those Friday nights. Maybe that did make it. I mean, he slips up and gives stuff away here. A few. Do I believe that he knew the signals for the 2022 Ohio State game? Yeah, I'll go to my grave believing they knew the signals for the 2022 Ohio State. It's the only way you can explain what happened in that
Yeah.
game. It's
Yes.
the only way. But it happened, and we have to deal with it. But yeah, this he's such an audacious cheater. Um, he completely self owns himself, like he contradicts himself constantly in terms
Yep.
of the importance of this. Yeah, he's totally trying to meld this issue of being able to pick signs from the side like he was. Let me just spill that once and for all. He couldn't pick signs in real time. No, he had no ability. He had no code breaking ability. He wasn't, Dustin Hoffman from Rain Man. This is not what we're dealing with here. He went out in the most ham-handed way. He had guys holding up cell phones, recording the games and the signals, and teams didn't have the ability to change the signals every week. So he knew the signals, so he knew the plays. It's really as simple as that. It's illegal. It was illegal against NCAA rules. It's illegal against Big Ten rules, and that's why they're going to get the hammer. And he still doesn't. I don't know if he doesn't get it or if he's just so mentally delusional that he doesn't want to get it. But yeah, that tweet was all over the place, and I'm not sure how you could read it any other way than that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with mentally delusional. And because people just forget, man. We haven't forgotten. Like going back to when this all came out and the manifesto. Like, come on, like who? The manifestos are written by a certain group of people, type of people, and they're typically not, all the way there. Yes, could he be a bright young man? Sure, and all that, but why are you trusting this dude? I know why you're trusting him, Michigan fans, because it's in your best interest to trust him. Like you're clinging to these narratives, you're clinging to these lies, these talking out both sides of his mouth, like Nevada said, contradicting himself. But really, at the end of the day, again, it's not going to save them from the hammer. If this was just, high level sign stealing, none of this will be going on right now. We would not be waiting for the hammer to drop after a final hearing that never happens. There wouldn't have been a letter written. There wouldn't have been the NCAA or Big Ten reaching out to Michigan State saying, hey, you don't have to play this week because of player safety, which we take very seriously. This is unprecedented. This is next level. I mean, I don't know how many times we have to repeat ourselves, but it doesn't matter because Michigan fans have been all in since day one to deny, deflect, and just keep moving the goalposts, keep moving this until we can get our trophy, and then we'll just do whatever we got to do to keep our memories. They have been willing to die on this hill from day one. So really nothing you say to them, 95% of them is going to work. Logic, facts, nothing. They're just delusional. They're brainwashed. They were getting their teeth kicked in for 20 straight years against Ohio State. And even Michigan State was handling them for a nice spell. And they just could not take it. They couldn't take it. They had to do whatever they had to do to get off the schneid. And now that things are starting to crumble little by little and eventually going to the floor is going to fall through, they're going to fight tooth and nail for their little narrative. They're going to posture. They're going to act like, one thing that's really impressive about them, Nevada, on social media is that they will stand in the face of facts and they will still read their script and they'll read it confidently. It's almost like it screws with your mind if you're not focused because of their willingness to be so confident in their delusion. The average person who's not tapped in may walk away from that like, man, what am I missing? You're not missing anything. You're just dealing with a zombie who's been convinced by all their blue wall media and all their so-called insiders that everything's fine, they didn't do anything wrong, and the NCAA's out to get them. It's ridiculous.
Well, think about let's take. I'm going to give you a little slightly different twist on this whole story too. Think about
Right.
Sonny Dykes. Okay, Sonny Dykes gets up there at the Big 12 Media Days. Now, Sonny Dykes to say, I mean, because essentially what he's saying is the reason we beat Michigan, or one of the reasons we beat Michigan, wasn't my great coaching, wasn't my great preparation, wasn't my great play by my players. It was because we knew they stole signals, so we gave them dummy signals, and we kind of outsmarted them on the dummy signals thing. But it was kind of that's how important the signaling was to Sonny Dykes. Sonny Dykes was willing to take credit away from himself, away from his players, away from his programs to raise the issue of how important this particular issue was and how this issue isn't some incidental thing. It's not just some everybody does it. This was next level cheating. This took extraordinary actions by him to try to defeat it, and they got a favorable result. But I mean, for Sonny to come out and say that, it shows you how important this really was. I mean, that's what really struck me about his
It's a
comments. In
great
fact,
point, Nevada.
because he brought it up multiple times, and and I just think about it. I mean, coaches are all about, hey, it just comes down to blocking and tackling, and the football players and our guys made plays, and like Sonny Dykes goes, no, we gave him bad signals. We gave him phony signals, and that's part of the reason why we won. I mean, that was powerful. And the thing is with Sonny Dykes, if you followed his comments or his trajectory, he's a very blunt. He's kind of in the cloth of like a Mike Leach or one of those
Yeah.
guys where he just says what's kind of on his mind. So when he says stuff, it may not be the most filtered, it may not be the most refined, but it's the truth. It's what's on his mind. And so for him to come out and say it, I thought, man, this was how important it was to him to make a statement about this, that he was willing to take away some of the shine off of his guys and his program to make this point about this science thing. And that really struck me and really stayed with me.
That is a phenomenal point, Nevada. Like straight up. That's a great point. And I'm reading through the article, looking at some of his quotes. And I mean, for a ball coach that has to win games, big games, obviously for a living, if you make a move like that with a game like this on the line, number one, like you said, it has to be something serious. Number two, there has to be some it's one thing somebody just kind of, hey coach, I think this is happening. Somebody that he trusted tipped him off, and it was serious for him to be able to do what he did and have the success that he had. And so there's a few quotes from the article that I'm looking at that kind of like hit it home a little bit. um Let me go down here. Yep, we changed some signs, we left some the same. Dyke said, we found out early enough before the game where we could change a lot of our signals. And then we had some dummy signals and some things where we checked a dummy signal to a signal that we knew they knew. So Sonny Dykes had some good intel. He did, somebody didn't just whisper to him, hey, I think this is happening. He got some good intel. And then it said, let me see this next quote here. I think at one point it was late in the game. It seemed to me that they, meaning Michigan, quit worrying about it. Dyke said, I think we got them once or twice and they were like, okay, these guys are hip to it. See that comment right there. Sonny Dykes is not stupid. You could see it. It's like, oh, our system is not working. How is this not working? And you look at the thumbnail, Connor Stalions looks like he's seen a ghost on the thumbnail. Like he's just beside himself. But yes, today he's trying to talk all big and tough, and with all this word salad, a bunch of garbage on Twitter that the Michigan fanboys are eating up. But real time, that dude was freaking out because he had gotten all the way to the top with illegal sign stealing, and now it's crumbling in his face because somebody tipped off Sonny Dykes. Like this is a big deal. Not only that, Nevada, because Michigan fans like to say, "Oh, it's just Ohio State and Michigan State fans." Listen, there's other podcasts doing shows on Michigan. Sports Talk J, Tennessee fan. Like he comes from the perspective of how Tennessee was most likely cheated by Connor Stalions giving South Carolina Tennessee signals when he scouted them. And he brings out the receipts and the things that really make sense. This was a big deal, y'all. And so it's just, again, how people can't see this just baffles me. But yeah, I just wanted to bring those quotes out. Nevada, anything on that?
Yeah, no, just I mean, Sonny Dykes, like you said, this is the biggest game of Sonny Dykes' life. Biggest game without question, biggest game he's ever coached in, and he's changing the signals based upon intel and leaving dummy signals in there and playing a game with Michigan to try to throw some stuff out there to see what they do. I mean, you're right. He had gotten terrific intel on it. You think about this was kind of the 2022 Michigan game was kind of the zenith of the Science and episode, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if it was Ohio State that had tipped him off or whatever. And it was somebody that got to him because there's an Ohio State Sonny Dykes connection. So I wonder who got to him, how they got to him, what was said. But you're right. This was not some passing fancy. This was not some throwaway comment. This was not some rumor that he read on a message board. He got solid intel, and in the biggest game of his coaching career, took action in terms of doing it and game those guys. And you're right, these still photos of Connor Stalions on the sideline with the defensive corner looking at him like ready to throw stuff at him, and he looks like like somebody just stole his lunch money. Is those are forever wonderful because you can just see how he's just completely perplexed that his stuff isn't working anymore, and that was pretty classic.
Yep, indeed, I agree. And it just with this whole saga, once you think that it's just going to be quiet and nothing until the hammer drops, here comes something else. And guess what? We're going to be right here to talk about it and react to it. But I'm sure there'll be even more fallout from this in the next 24 to 48 hours. But I'll remind y'all, we've said this on the show before. We know for a fact, not guessing, that the Ohio State staff, there's no profit in them saying anything during this whole process. There's just nothing good coming from them speaking out or saying anything. But they're sitting back waiting, and they know, and they're upset about this whole thing, and they cannot wait for the hammer to drop. Best believe. Right, Nevada? I know your contacts have
Yeah,
said that.
yeah. That's coming from the very top. Like you said, there's no equity in them making any comments about this, and they can't. They got to blow it off, and if question about it, they got to say, "Oh, that's water under the bridge," and we don't even think about that stuff either. But I guarantee you, they care. They're watching. They're waiting, and as we all are. We're all. It's like there's a jury that's out right now. The cases have been presented and the jury's out. And we're waiting for the white smoke to go up from the jury room, so know they've got a verdict, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, it could be any day. I mean, it literally could be Monday morning. They could drop this thing. So I mean, it's we're all ready. I don't think it'll be that soon. But you never know. I mean, that'd be something else to have it all happen before the Big Ten media days. That'd be something else.
Yeah, I keep having I think a nightmare is too dramatic, but I keep having like a vision or a dream of, I wake up to my phone blown up, like B Moses that they dropped the hammer, and I'm like sleep knocked out till like 11 a.m. or something, and I wake up to my phone is just blown up, and I'm like, oh crap, like I gotta post my memes and my videos, and my to troll them. Like I keep picturing that because it's just like it does seem like it's gonna come where we just aren't expecting it. I know we're expecting it every day, but you know how it is, Nevada. You wake up in the morning, you doing your thing, whatever. Did oh shoot, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be like that.
Yeah, it's the first thing I do is I check my phone just to see because I can tell by the number of messages I get if something happened. You know what I'm saying? My
Yeah.
first thing is how many. If I only got like one or two text messages, then I'm like, okay, it's just a normal evening or whatever it is. But sometimes stuff happens, the phone blows up, and yeah, this one the phone's definitely gonna my phone's gonna melt down when this thing comes down. That's why I
Oh
can't I
yeah.
can't wait for it.
Oh yeah. And the board. And listen, if you have not joined BuckeyeScoop.com, join BuckeyeScoop.com. First of all, the board is just always popping in general. Lots of great discussion, lots of great topics. But the Michigan sanctions thread is epic on there, and it's only going to be more epic after the hammer drops. So yeah, I encourage you to jump on now. So this is what I would do. I would jump on now. I would read that thread and try to get to the the real time of the thread before the hammer drops. That could be like a personal goal for you. Read it all the way through so you can catch up and be able to respond and comment real time to when it does drop.
It's
That's the
like
greatest
400.
thread ever.
It's like 400 pages. Like 400 pages, over 2 million views. I mean, it's
No,
it's
it's 800.
oh, it's
It's
800 pages. It's
800
eight.
pages.
It's 800 pages.
Yeah. Yeah. Um
Oh, yeah, it is. You're right. You're right. It is 800. It's
yeah.
800 pages. Yeah, it's quite the tome. There's lots of good stuff in there, and it is kind of fun to read it from beginning to end, so you can kind of see how this story's kind of evolved over time. And we've got little breaks where things kind of pop out and think kind of come there. But yeah, that's probably the best thread in our board's history for sure, and promises to deliver in the future as well.
No doubt. And we'll go ahead and get the super chats, but I might go today and just post 20 comments just to get it to 1,000. Let's get it to 1,000 before the hammer drops. But yeah, but cool. We'll go ahead and do super chats and we'll roll on out. So who we got here? We got Car Bear 53. Thanks for the 4.99. Loving more proof they did this. Do you think this draws out punishment? Still love the slow drip. OH Nevada.
Oh,
So Car Bear, I think, and maybe you can retype in the chat. I think you're saying loving more proof they did this. Do you think this draws out punishment? So are you saying draws out as far as how long it takes for the punishment, or draws out meaning makes the punishment worse? What do you think Car Bear's saying? Either way, we could respond to both. But what you think
I,
he's saying,
I,
Devon?
I, the way I read it is he's like, is this new revelation? Will this draw out the punishment? Will this be some sort of a new fact for the NCAA to consider or something? That's the way that I'm reading it. And no,
Okay.
the NCAA thing is, I mean, in terms of the sign stealing, that's all baked. That's all baked in the cake right now, and that's in front of the NCAA jury, and we're waiting on the decision on that. I'm just the fact that Sonny Dykes knows about it, cares about it, cared enough to talk about it. Do I think that stuff influences the jurors? I do. I mean, I do. These are people just like us that read the papers and read the stuff, and they see how other coaches, responded to this stuff, cared about this stuff, and do I think it will influence them? Yeah, I really do because it's you're not having coaches come out and go, oh, this didn't matter, this didn't make any difference. Like he's saying, it made such a big difference in the biggest game of my life. I changed all my signs. That's how big of a difference it was to Sonny Dykes. So yeah, I think that subtle message will not be lost on the jury.
Yep, got you. And yeah, he did respond and clarify, and he said makes punishment sooner. So yeah, I got you. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I'll tell you this: Nevada has mentioned several times, and you can confirm that his contacts have like confirmed, like they hear the no. Like people act like these people aren't human. They're not robots somewhere that they just you turn them on to hear a case when you need a. These are people. They have TVs and social media and they hear the noise. They know that the Netflix documentary came out and the ridiculousness of and they showing the clip of him lying to the NCAA that they probably didn't even know they were recording because the way the phone was positioned, it was like he was sneaking. It was weird. But anyway, I can just see them watching, reading the article today. Like, man, we was going to wait 3 weeks from now, but hey, can we drop this to on Monday? Like, I'm sick of these clowns. But no,
Yeah, and I do want to say one thing, just not that this needs to be clarified, but I just clarify. My contact is not on the jury. My contact for the thing was not an NCAA jury. He's not a juror on this case, but he's a
yeah,
person that works at the NCAA. You're familiar with the Enforcement Act, familiar with this thing, intimately familiar, but he's not a juror. So it's not. I don't want to give the impression that I've got some sort of insight as to what the jury is going to do. Because if I had that, that would be a complete that'd be a complete different level of thing. That'd be good. But no, this is not a juror. And ultimately, when you've got a jury, I mean, look, there's always the unpredictability of what a jury's going to do. But I've got a really good handle of kind of the tone of how this case is viewed by the entire NCAA, the organization of the NCAA as a whole. And for them, this is the most egregious cheating scandal in the history that they've ever dealt with. So that fact is not lost on the jurors, that that the fact that this is such an important investigation to the entire institution is not lost on these people that are going to be trying this case. I can guarantee you that.
yeah, amen. And it's the last thing I'll say. We can close out. To me, this whole case has been a layup from the beginning. And what I mean by that is this: not many cases are laid so in a comprehensive way like it was laid in the NCAA's lap, right? I know Michigan fans still to this day want to claim it was Ryan Day's brother and all that other crap, which has already been debunked and all that other stuff, and they still saying it. But not only was it laid in their lap, but since then they have not cooperated. Like basically, the hammer. This is an easy hammer. This hammer is easy. It's really with like the Tennessee cases and other cases. It's like yeah they did a lot of cheating. Tennessee cheated. They had the money bags out full force. You read the report, but they did such a great job of saying, hey, don't you worry about it, NCAA. We got our people on it. Here's all the research. Here's all the information. We're going to self-report. We're going to give you whatever you need. And then that's why they didn't get the bowl ban, because they had exemplary cooperation. Okay. Michigan has not done that. This is a layup hammer. So it's just a matter of going through the process. And one last thing, Nevada, on the last show, I talked about how some people still keep saying, when is this going to, nothing has happened yet. So nothing's going to happen. This is a process, y'all. It sucks. But for those people who keep saying, "Oh, I don't think nothing's going to happen because it hasn't happened yet," just do some research. It takes this long. Matter of fact, to Nevada, you've said this plenty of times. You look at the timeline. This is actually going pretty quickly, considering everything involved. This has not been a super long case. So, with that said, it's coming and it's coming soon. And I'm very excited for them boys to get this work. Period.
Well, and one of the reasons why it moves so fast, because it did move, this was warp speed for the NCAA, was that they were presented with the case. The case was dropped in their lap. And the
Yeah.
investigation, this is the best documented case in the history of the NCAA, because it was investigated fully and then presented to them. So for them, they were able to, shave off a lot of corners in terms of their investigation. And frankly, the fact that Michigan wouldn't cooperate, while that's a bad fact for them, and that's an aggravating factor for them, for the NCAA, it speeded up the process because you didn't have to sit through 10,000 emails from Jim Harbaugh or other he just didn't cooperate. He just
True.
flipped off and said, "Hey, we're not even going to do this." So yeah, no, it's hey, we're in the home stretch. We're in the final 60 days, and my confidence in the process and what's going to happen has never wavered and is never more sure than I am today. So can't wait for it.
Yep. Agreed. And listen, always great doing pods. This is what we love to do. We love the Scoop family. Chat is popping per usual. Listen, we will see y'all next time. Have a good Saturday. It's a little stormy here in Columbus, but I'm gonna run out and get me some wings or something still, whatever. But listen, we will see y'all next time and go Bucks.